Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so for today, we shall be continuing the Nevermind Game book written by Sasana Dipika Venerable Khanti Khemaji. And this week, we are on chapter 6, how to practice the Nevermind Game. So in the previous chapters 4 and 5, there was a long discussion on explaining what the Nevermind Game is and also how the human cognitive process works. So we've covered that already, and now we're going into the actual practice itself. Chapter 6, how to practice the Nevermind Game. To begin, get yourself a little notebook to keep track of your interactions during the day. You are going to review them at the end of each day. As you review them, you will begin to check to see if you took your interactions with people too personally. If you did have some reactions and the outcome was not so good, you write it down, first describing it as close as you can remember how it happened. Then, on another page, you recount it again. But this time, you make up how it could have happened differently in the parts where you took something said or done by another person too personally. This time, you describe what you did as if you were not taking anything personally. These two pictures should look different. In the second account, when you did not take things personally, probably you did not react. Instead, maybe you responded. Now ask yourself if you can see the parts that could have been less personal. Next time you see that person, you might step back a little as you encounter them. This time, practice not taking anything they say to you personally. By changing your perspective, behaving less personally next time, you will relieve yourself from heaviness, tension, and suffering. So, we've talked about all of this long enough. Time to get down to the game. From the beginning of this book, I gave you a practice you could do for yourself. This practice helps you recognize unwholesome states of mind, let them go, bring up wholesome states instead, and keep them going with a smile. Yes, I am recording. Yes, we've started recording. Yes. Yes, I'm also checking that the recording is happening. Yep. Okay. Oh, it teaches you. Oh, yeah. Okay. No worries. Okay. So I'll just start from the paragraph. From the beginning of this book, I gave you a practice you could do for yourself. This practice helps you recognize unwholesome states of mind, let them go, bring up wholesome states instead, and keep them going with a smile. It teaches you a skilled form of observation that leads you to experience 4 heavenly states of mind, also known as Brahma Viharas. So that is loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, appreciative joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekkha. As long as you keep the steps going in the same way all the time, whenever anything disturbs you in life. The great part about this practice is that it lets go of all negative thinking and actions. As you let go of any unwholesome thoughts, you will always replace them with wholesome thoughts with a smile. And this is how your mind and behavior begin to change. The Nevermind Game has been derived from a meditation practice called Tranquil Wisdom Insight Meditation, or simply TWIM. It's an extremely gentle and comfortable and smiling meditation that evenly yokes together two components of a very successful original practice we believe was given to the lay people by the Buddha long ago. These two components are serenity, samatha, and insight, vipassana. These two components work together just like a trained team of bulls who are evenly yoked together to pull a cart smoothly straight through a gate. Okay, so here I think those of us who have listened to Venerable Sister Khema or Mataji in some of her previous talks, she helped us to visualize this. I think she even drew some pictures of two bulls and how they look like in those days, the olden days. And these two bulls move together, and they are connected with they are yoked together, and they move together evenly, so that the cart that they're pulling moves forward smoothly. So this meditation is primarily based on the sixfold of the Noble Eightfold Path given by the Buddha, called right effort, samavayama. And right effort leads people away from the difficulty caused by stress and strain that leads to suffering. So here there's also a subnote here that explains what the Noble Eightfold Path is. So the Noble Eightfold Path of the Buddha consists of 8 practices to overcome suffering in life. That is, the first one, right view or harmonious perspective. That is, seeing the impersonal nature of everything. Number 2, right intention or harmonious imaging. That is, holding a wholesome, uplifted image intention in the mind. And the third of the Noble Eightfold Path is right speech or harmonious communication. That is, being kind in your thoughts, speech, and actions. Number 4 is right action or harmonious movement. That is, cultivating a balanced movement of mind's attention. Number 5 is right livelihood or harmonious lifestyle, following a vocation or lifestyle that does not harm others and allows space and time for spiritual development. Number 6 is right effort, which is what we were talking about. So right effort or harmonious practice has 4 steps to it. So the first one is you recognize unwholesome mind states. And number 2, you release the unwholesome mind states. Number 3, we bring up wholesome mind states, and that can be as quick and easy as just smiling. And number 4, keeping wholesome mind states going and making more wholesome states. So after we smile, then we return to our loving kindness meditation or our object of meditation or the task that we are doing at that moment. And we continue to keep that smile going. And that's part of the right effort. Number 7, right mindfulness or harmonious observation. That is, observing how mind's attention moves away from wholesome states to suffering. So we need to observe when the mind is distracted or when a hindrance occurs. Then again, we apply the right effort, or we can just go, never mind, let it go, relax, smile, and return to the task at hand or object of meditation. And the last of the Noble Eightfold Path, right concentration or harmonious collectedness, is establishing and maintaining a productive level of concentration and focus for your life and practice. So it's neither too tight nor not too loose. So the 4 steps of right effort or right striving appear in many lessons of sutras we find preserved in the early Buddhist texts. Practicing right effort completes a cleansing process by itself. It both purifies and retrains mind. Serenity practice talks, sorry, Serenity practice talks about using breathing or metta meditation for calming down the mind. Insight meditation has to do with suddenly becoming enlightened about something you didn't know about before. Excuse me. Insights can spring up within the mind very clearly whenever the right conditions arise for this to happen. Practicing the Nevermind game helps the proper conditions to arrive for insights to emerge. Understanding these insights and applying them in life reduces suffering. Doesn't matter what faith one chooses to follow. This practice can be integrated into whatever faith or meditation practice you have been following so far. This approach makes everything clearer so you can begin to live your faith more wholeheartedly. The Nevermind game supports insights to arise even while you are outside a formal sitting practice. During your daily life, an answer might present itself concerning some aspect of suffering you are experiencing. This can happen rather suddenly in your mind, or it could happen while you're doing your walking meditation, or even while washing dishes or doing schoolwork. As you contemplate what was so enlightening, it begins to fit more clearly, like a piece of puzzle revealing a whole picture. The purpose of teaching you this practice is to facilitate such insights to arise so that you begin to experience the benefit of responding to what is happening in life instead of simply reacting. So this last sentence actually I find is quite interesting to note because what it's suggesting here is that by practicing this Nevermind game, we are actually also facilitating insights to arise naturally. It's not that we purposely, say, I would like to have an insight or an enlightening experience come about, but it naturally occurs. And then when that occurs, then slowly we begin to discover more and more an understanding of what the practice is all about and how pieces of puzzle start to reveal a whole picture. As a side note, it was very interesting to me that this kind of meditation was later repeated in Christian texts about 600 years after the Buddha's passing. In the very early Christian church, a meditation called Christian centering prayer was practiced. This meditation yielded similar results for monks such as Saint Francis of Assisi and other revered Catholic saints. In both forms of meditation, the intent of the practice was to tap into your internal powers, seeded by loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity, so they can blossom and fully flow through you. It was indeed a lovely meditation form that got lost across time. Active forgiveness, compassion, and loving kindness also changed how we see the world and how we choose to behave in it. Today, many spiritual paths try to renew these good qualities in human beings. People are waking up these latent powers in themselves, and we can only hope that more people will see this as a very sensible practice for their communities and countries to pursue. Whenever these wholesome mind states are adopted and kept going, they most assuredly move us in the direction of harmony and peace. The entire time you're playing the Nevermind game, please keep smiling. You only need to raise the corners of your mouth upwards. That's enough. No toothy grin is necessary. You don't even have to feel a desire to smile. And this is actually quite interesting. It's important to note that it's not really necessary to want to smile. We just raise the corners of our mouth. And this has been proven. There has been some, in the past recent years, scientific research in neuroscience that has, study a group of people who have, they don't necessarily have a desire to smile, but they are, asked to, I think the experiment was to put a pen or a pencil in between their mouth, and in that process, the corners of the mouth naturally will raise upwards, and they did that study in a particular group. So that was interesting. And for those who are interested, I'm pretty sure you can Google on the internet and be able to find more details of that experiment or research. In modern science, brain researchers proved that when we raise the corners of our mouth, those little corner muscles trigger the two hemispheres of our brain to relax and slightly separate. This relieves pressure on the pineal gland and activates the release of neuropeptides that work toward fighting off stress. So here, even Venerable Sister Khema has included the paper written by Seward, Managing Stress Principles and Strategies for Health and Well-being, for those who are interested to go and have a look. So neuropeptides, what are neuropeptides? Neuropeptides are tiny molecules that allow neurons to communicate. They facilitate messaging to the whole body when we are happy, sad, angry, depressed, or excited. The feel-good neurotransmitters. So these are like neurochemicals that happen or are raised in the brain. So dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin are all released when a smile flashes across your face. So this is quite useful and quite interesting to note, because dopamine and endorphins has been scientifically known for quite a while now, are neurochemicals that we would like to have as much as possible. So some people try to raise them through doing exercise, for example, or other forms, even meditation as well, generally. And so this is quite common knowledge now in terms of the use of dopamine and endorphins. Okay, so it's useful to know that another way to be able to increase the release of dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin in our brain, it can be done by simply smiling or raising the corners of our mouth upwards. So that's really useful. So this not only relaxes your body, but it can also lower your heart rate and blood pressure. The endorphins also act as a 100% organic pain reliever without the potential negative side effects of synthetic drugs. And yeah, there are some additional papers here that Venerable Sister Khema has included for those who are interested. Finally, the serotonin release brought on by your smile serves as an antidepressant or mood lifter. So the brain reacts to a smile by offering a feeling of more spaciousness. One feels very light and open. Because of this result, I can assure you that you do not have to feel like smiling to use the smile effectively. It is an operational step to smile in this practice. Okay, so again, I guess you can see the last two sentences here is just to re-emphasize again the statement that was made earlier, that we don't necessarily have to feel like smiling in order to use this step. It's really part of the process. We can treat it as like an operational step. So after you take your attention off a distraction by letting go, you then relax the head, and that releases pressure on the brain. You experience an uplifting feeling in the mind, and this is when you develop a sharper awareness of for your mindfulness. The lighter the mind feels, the faster you'll notice any tension that begins to feel heavier and tighter. That is your cue to think. Never mind, let go, relax, smile, and come back to your task at work. Okay, so when we are continuously practicing this, actually what we're doing is we're kind of training the mind to also start to recognize when tension and tightness occurs quite quickly. So it's part of the whole so-called training. So as we keep doing that, the more we keep doing that, at some point, the mind will recognize that, or the brain will recognize when tension tightness appears. And then because we keep doing that, because we have been training it again and again, then it will automatically go to the never mind, let go, relax, smile, come back process. Okay, but initially we would probably have to actively remind or actively train it that way. So the mind is without any craving at this point, and this cycle gets smoother as you keep practicing it. So it's just a summary of what we just said. Like any new explorer, you keep an open-minded, impersonal curiosity going all the time. And this is actually quite important because this also relates to, in a way, the first point in the Noble Eightfold Path, where it's, if we go back page here, right view or harmonious perspectives, seeing the impersonal nature of everything. So keeping that in mind, it's useful to note that when we are also practicing, we keep an open mind, keep a kind of like an observer. We are just observing what is happening, and we're having that impersonal curiosity all the time. So you stay interested in what the mind is doing through this cultivated alertness. Notice how mind's attention wanders without you telling it to. Begin to notice that you are not personally making distracting thoughts come up. They are impersonally arising by themselves. So the message here is to be consistent and persistent with your impersonal observation until the mind learns to automatically let go instead of habitually grabbing onto distracting thoughts. So the two words here, consistent, persistent. So we have to keep going with the training until the mind naturally, automatically lets go of all these distracting thoughts that just occur, just pop up. Put the loving kindness or metta into your practice or into whatever you are doing, and keep on smiling. The more you smile, the faster this practice develops. How fast your practice develops is directly proportional to how often you can do the 5 steps of the Nevermind Game the same exact way every time. So here it's very important to note, it says the same exact way every time. And because that is how the mind works. So in order to train it in a certain way, we have to train it in exactly the same way every time until the process becomes automatic. So every time we have a distraction, or every time a tension or tightness arises, we never mind it, let it go, relax, smile, and come back. Be sure not to add or subtract anything from these 5 steps. It only works effectively if you do it the same exact way every time. By adding steps from any other kind of meditation or skipping any of the above mentioned steps, you will not be able to experience the result of tranquility combined with insight that is naturally built into this practice. Take my word for it and try it for a while. You will see what I'm talking about. Okay, so very important. Again, just those 5 steps here. Never mind, let go, relax, smile, come back. Don't add anything, don't subtract anything, don't change the order of the process. Keep that same order of the process all the time. Remember, how well you follow these instructions determines how easily things can change for you. Oh, okay, so today's chapter actually is quite a short chapter, really. It's kind of, in a way, also re-emphasizing what we discussed in chapter 4 and chapter 5, but also in this last page here, really putting forth how important it is to follow the process exactly the same way every time, each time. Each time we get distracted, each time we feel tension, tightness occur. Every time we just go, never mind, let it go, relax, smile, and come back. And also, earlier, Venerable Sister Khema spent quite a bit of time to explain why the smiling is so important. You know, a lot of times people may feel that it's weird, or it's like, why do I have to smile? I mean, I'm trying to meditate. What does meditation have to do with smiling? So here, I think she really tried her best to include some, papers, reference to scientific papers to explain why this step is really so important. It's not so much about really even wanting the need or the feeling to want to smile. That really isn't necessary. And also, we don't have to have a big smile. All we need to do is just raise the corners of our mouth. That's all we need to do. So it's quite amazing, really, if you think about it, that this has been discovered. Very simple. Everyone can do it. And also, it's really quite immediate effect as well. Okay, so that really was today's chapter 6. We will leave chapter 7 for next week. So we try to keep one chapter each week. Are there any questions from today's audience today who participated? Paul or Pi, do you have anything you would like to ask or share about your thoughts with regards to the Nevermind game so far? Okay, Pi has nothing to add, so you're happy with what the book suggests. That's good. Paul, do you have anything you want to add or suggest or comment or ask?
No questions. It was a nice talk. Yeah, confirms what I thought I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's also very useful that Venerable Sister Khema tries to repeat and reiterate and re-emphasize until the message keeps getting clearer and clearer. So I think we all appreciate her work for that.
Just chapter 7, what we'll be doing next week. That's very short. It's just 3 pages, 4 pages. Perhaps we better do 2 chapters next week. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. It's a
Chapter
very
8 is
short
very short as well.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Next week we can do chapter 7 and chapter 8. Yep. Thanks for that. That's a good tip. So yeah, definitely we can do chapter 7 and 8 together next week. 9 is a fair bit longer, so we can keep that. And then 10 up. Oh, 10 is also, 10 is just the score. So we can do 9 and 10 together. The 10 is just the table of the scorecard. And then that's it. So yeah. So let's do 7 and 8 next week. And then 9, which is the longer chapter, and we can look at the scorecard in chapter 10 as well. Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for dialing in, Paul and Pi. Oops, did I miss something? Maybe split 9. Yeah, that could be an option as well. We could do chapter 9 part 1 and then chapter 9 part 2. Yeah, yeah, I thought chapter 9 was a bit long when I scrolled through as well. Yeah, we can definitely split it. So let's look into splitting chapter 9 into two weeks, across 2 weeks. So we'll do 7 and 8 next week, and then 9 part 1 and then 9 part 2. Yeah, okay, good point. Thanks for pointing that out. We'll do that way then. Great. Thank you so much again for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope this will be useful to you and everyone who listens to it then. Thank you so much. Have a very good week ahead, and continue to play the Nevermind game. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.